So this guy here, we're getting closer, but I got to get the, I have a new piece for this, a brand new Crossmember, because this one was hit, and it's wrinkled a little bit. I mean, it would probably work if I had to use it, but since I can get a new one for $100, I was like, screw it, why not? The problem is, I'm not sure if you can see or not, try and get this thing to focus, but it's like this thing has basically fused itself, you know, to this piece here has fused itself to this piece here. It's just like, because I was originally just going to cut, you know, try and cut in between these, but I mean, as you can see, I just don't see that as a viable option. So I think what I'm going to do is just take the grinder and cut. Basically, you can see that seam in there. So I'll just cut along this seam in here, you know, and end up just cutting this off right along this seam. So cut that off both sides, and then I can cut the little, like this piece down a little bit, and then hit it with the grinder to just grind it kind of smooth and leave as much meat as I can on this piece here that I'm gonna have to weld the new one to. So that's the plan for now. And the other thing I don't think I told you about is this here. So this is obviously going to be an issue, but I have 2 more of these on the way. I already ordered them, so I'm just going to cut these old ones off, patch this, and then weld the new ones on, and we should be good to go. But I want to wait till I get the new ones just to see kind of what they look like before I cut this one off with the lining up and, you know, how things need to be. So I want to wait till I get the new ones to see, just to make sure they match good, and I can just use these as a good reference point and stuff. So that's why I'm waiting on that one. But let's get to this piece here, and I can get it cut, ground down, then I can start grinding these, get everything ready to start welding in the patch panels, and onward and upward. So, got the Crossmember cut out. Another reason I wanted to do that is because I have this outline here that needs to get patched, and of course you can see it kind of goes right under where that Crossmember would be. You know, my patch would be from here back, which is going to be under that Crossmember by, you know, ½ inch or whatever that is. So I need to get that cut out, patched, then I can worry about the Crossmember, but I still got to ground all this stuff down. But I mean, I'm probably not going to show that, it's just grinding. I'm just going to grind it down to clean metal, and same thing with those other ones. I'll get those cleaned up and stuff. I'll show them to you before I weld them, just so you can see how I'm doing it and how, you know, basically the prep work. And then I will go ahead and get them welded in and get this thing off to the shop. But I still got quite a bit of work to do, so stand by. Okay guys, check this out. So we're putting in the Crossmember now. I've got the vast majority of all my other repairs performed. You saw the big gnarly one. These guys here are good to go. And the one on the bottom, if you can see that, maybe, right here. Yeah, lighting's not that great in here, sorry. And then this one here was challenging. And then while I was doing this repair here, I saw that the end piece was this little piece here was kind of jacked up, so I cut that out and just welded a new piece, built up the back of it with a little bit of weld just to make it stronger. Oh, and this little square guy here. So I have pretty much everything done outside of these. These have to get cut off, and I've got new ones to go in here too. So what I'm going to be doing today is working on this piece here, and I made a mistake. I cut the old one off to go ahead and grind down these welds because it was just a big old mound of rusty weld here on the front. I mean, I'm sorry, on the top and the bottom. But what I didn't do was weld in a brace to keep the original width. So as soon as I cut them off, the ends kind of, you know, were sitting like this, and then I cut the end off and they came together like that. So you can see my little ghetto jack wood assembly there, which basically I found the measurements online, 42 and 42.58 inches. Marked it out on my tape measure and just, you know, ran the jack to get the perfect measurement on the back, which looks pretty much exactly how I remember it, because there's a little bit of room on the ends here, just like that. So all I have to do is get this perfectly centered, and then go ahead and weld around these edges on the top and on the bottom. I'll just go ahead and get those guys welded up. This thing should be good to go, and then I can move on to these the rear body mounts here. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so today we're going to be working on my little mounts here, the rear body mounts. I'll show you this one over here. Basically this. So these things are just, they're trashed, and the one on the other side, I'll show you in a second, has rust in here. Damage that needs to be replaced. So I'm going to cut these off and replace them. I already have my replacement pieces. Working on them over here. Show you one. So I've just been grinding them down, you know, trying to get all the metal off, get them ready to weld. So it's going to cut the old ones off, put these on. The thing I'm struggling with right now is trying to figure out the best way to mark kind of where they need to go, especially on this one. I don't know if you can see that. A couple holes in there, and I believe these are holes right here too. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's little tiny holes right there. Probably not, but yeah, there's little tiny holes right there, pinholes. The problem is when I cut this one off and grind it down and all that, you know, make my repair in here, I'm gonna get rid of all my marks, you know, that I'm using to locate it. So I mean, these will stay up here and the ones on the bottom will stay, which are pretty good. But I've got this level sitting on here, you know, perfectly flat the way it needs to be with the existing one, because it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters if it's level, but I think it matters more that it matches this exact position, because that's how the body's gonna mate to it, regardless of whether it's positioned perfectly level or not. So I've got my marks under here and up here, just to give me a good reference when I'm putting the new one up there. I can, you know, these marks should stay. I shouldn't have to mess with anything out here or out here. That should give me a good reference of where it's level, and I took a bunch of pictures as well to see exactly where it was located at on the frame. So I think I'm about ready to go ahead and start getting these cut off, make that metal repair there, and then get them welded back on. So let's keep it moving. Okay, so I'm close on my cutting and grinding. That actually went a little better than I thought, and I can still see my marks. Yeah, you can see them there. Side mark there, side mark there. Side on the bottom there, and then I still have them on the bottom. I don't know if you can see those, but I've got basically that, which tells me exactly where this thing goes. So when I line it all up, I should be right about there. So what I got to do is just a little more grinding on this side, a little more around, which I may actually hit with the Dremel, you know, just to get some of these deeper spots without killing the metal, you know. It's not, you can feel it, it's not super thin, but still, I'd rather not dig into it too far if I don't have to blend it out. You know, that's kind of what I was doing, is just blending this a little more flat to make it easier to weld. But I don't want to dig into some of these little pockets here, but they still, I think they're strong enough to where it'll be fine to weld to. I just have to get these little impurities out of here. So I don't think I'm going to film that, but I'm just going to go ahead and dig those out with my little Dremel extension there and get this guy lined up perfectly, clamped and welded. Okay guys, I got those little spots ground down with the Dremel, and I have my little thing welded, or not welded, but mounted, clamped in place. Got my magnets under there. I have a block of wood on here to make that, give that clamp something to bite to, because you can see the way that kind of dips in like that, the clamp can't bite on that. It just keeps sliding off. And then to make sure I got my angles and my elevation right, remember on the other side I had this set up. So I just set this on there, and then I marked the outer, you know, the top and then the bottom over here. So all I have to do is make sure that lines up on the top over here, the bottom over there, and I've got my elevation and stuff right. I'm centered between my lines. I'm pretty confident that that's where this thing needs to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and weld it in place. Alright guys, so basically this one's pretty much done. It's a little gnarly on the welds. I hoped they would have come out better, but they didn't. I mean, they're plenty strong, they're just kind of blobby, if you know what I mean. So that's that. That guy's done. And then this one here, I've just got my, you know, my patch cut out and the new plate just stuck in there, ready to weld. So all I'm going to do is weld that in, I'll grind it down smooth, and then, you know, I'll just install the other one just the same way as I did the other side. Okay guys, so last piece of the puzzle here is going to be this. So this body mount is all jacked up, as you can see. It's not, you know, circular at all. I'll show you what a good one looks like over here. So that's what it should look like, you know, a good circle there. So what I did is I ordered these little washers, if you will, I guess. I think I got them from Ames Performance. And what you do is you basically get it like that, draw your circle around it like I did, you can see there. Cut this out and then weld this in. This should drop in, you know, and be the same thickness as the frame. Weld it in level or flush, you know. And then you got a new body mount. But as you can see, it's gonna be a little tricky. You know, I'll probably have to grind that down or fill it in with weld or something to make it look right, you know, to kind of keep that curve. You know, aesthetically, you know, I'll do it to a degree. I'm not going to make it perfect, but it's not a show car. As you've seen, the rest of the repairs I did on the frame are not, you know, like show quality or anything by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to go ahead and try and probably Dremel that out. That's probably the best thing to do. You know, maybe if you got a cutting wheel on your Dremel, that's better, but all my cutting wheels might be a little big for that circle. So we'll see. I'll try the Dremel or maybe the cutting wheel first and see what happens. But yeah, let me get that cut out and we'll get it finished up, welded in, and good to go. Okay, so got the washer pretty much right where it needs to be. Sitting in there, just a little trimming was required outside of that video you just saw, and pretty much time to just weld it up and then probably grind that down. I think just the face of it here just needs to get ground down a little bit to match, and that should be it. We'll see though. I mean, I'll put a nice little bead under there and should be good to go. So that's pretty much the finished product right there. Tried to blend it the best I could in the front without putting a ton of weld on there, but looks okay. So that should, I think, solid. Should hold the body. Be good to go. A lot better than that old rusted out crap anyway. So as always guys, we appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for the next one.